Okay, everyone, we will go ahead and get started now. Thanks for being patient with us.
Okay, so good day, everyone. Welcome to the Xsens webinar. First, I want to thank you all for attending this event. My name is Giovanni, and today I'm here with Aristo. Aristo is our application engineer. Before us starting, just a reminder, feel free to ask any questions at any time. You can use the chat facility located at the lower right corner. All the questions will be answered at the end of the session. Concerning the agenda, the webinar today will focus on the MTw Awinda and is as the case of the package. MTw Awinda is a wireless human motion tracker optimized for developing real-time applications for wearable solutions. During this session, we will explain how to integrate MTw Awinda. Now the integration is really straightforward with the Xsens MT software and the easy-to-use API. Okay, so we can start. I hope that everybody joined the webinar. Okay, I think it's the right time.
Okay, great. So just a little bit of background about Xsens, the company. As you can see here, this is a picture of our company at our 15-year anniversary. We have about 80 employees, and over 50% of our employees are dedicated to research and developing our software as well as our hardware. Here's a timeline of how Xsens has come so far. We started in 2000, and we've gone through multiple iterations of our software as well as our hardware up until today, 2017, where we're showing you the MTw Awinda.
This is the last addition to our package.
All right, so just a little bit about our hardware and what we can do with that hardware. So these are wireless human motion trackers, and these are individual IMU units. And you can have one tracker connected, or you can have up to 20 wireless trackers connected to our receiving station at one time. You have up to a 50-meter wireless range in an open environment, and within the office space, you get about 25 meters of wireless range. You can get up to a 120 hertz wireless update rate, and so with that, as you have more trackers attached, that wireless update rate will be reduced. You get about 8 hours of battery life with each of these trackers, and each of our trackers has an accelerometer, a gyroscope, magnetometer, and barometer, so you can get all of that data as you're collecting.
Okay, just sorry to interrupt you. I see that Akin is having problems to hear us. You should be able to connect to join the call, connecting the audio via the computer. We can, okay. We are sending now the instruction.
Okay, great. So,
all right, we can start.
Just continuing on here. What I like to do after we talked about our hardware is what I would like to do is go ahead and talk about the MTw Software Suite we have, and also show you some of our hardware as well. So in a couple moments here, I'll go ahead and turn on our webcam so you can see us, and also show you some of the hardware that we have, but also share my screen so you can see the software package that we have available. So the first one I'm going to show you is our MTw Software Suite, which allows you to see 3D orientation in real time, but also gives you access to inertial and magnetometer data in real time. And from this software, you can go ahead and collect data and record it and export it to a variety of formats and go ahead and analyze all that data. So what I'll go ahead and do right now is go ahead and share my video here. So just give me a couple seconds here. Okay, so now I'm sharing my screen again, and now instead of using the WebEx video format, I'm using the Logitech webcam sharing. So now you can see us, and so what we wanted to show you here is one of these sensors. So this is one of our sensors, and you can see on the bottom here there's a power button and also a charging port and data port as well. We have a receiving station here, which allows you to go ahead and charge the Xsens sensors, but it also acts as a wireless receiving station as well. And then we also have BNC synchronization ports on the back of the receiving station as well. But we also provide you with wireless USB receiving dongle as well if the station is too much for you, and say, for example, you want to use this with a Microsoft Surface or something like that, you can definitely go ahead and use this USB wireless receiver. An additional thing to note about these sensors is that they do have Velcro attachments on the back. So that way, if you want to use these with some sort of strap, we provide Velcro straps. You can just go ahead and place them onto the Velcro straps and then wrap these around any body parts that you wish to measure. What we also provide, and what we'll also be using, one of our examples here, is a headband. And so if you want to measure any head movements, what I can go and do is actually place this on the Velcro attachment of this headband. And Giovanni can go ahead and now wear this headband and go ahead and measure some of his head movements. Okay. So what I'd like to go ahead and do is actually show you guys the MTw Software Suite and what we can do with that. So let me go ahead and open that up. Okay. And so now what you'll see here is this is our MTw software package. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and enable our wireless mounters. So if I have the station connected to my PC, I'm going to go ahead and enable that and have it pick up my wireless sensors.
Oh. Okay, it's on now.
And so now you can see that this sensor that I had before is actually being picked up. I can see the device ID as well as the signal strength. Okay, so now what I can do is go ahead and start measurement on all wireless masters. And once I start measurement, it'll actually start receiving data from the sensor to the receiving station. Okay, so now that's on. And now what I can do is go ahead and visualize the 3D orientation. So if I go ahead and open up, okay, as Giovanni is moving his head back and forth, I can see that orientation visualized. Okay. So this may not be what I necessarily require. So for example, the roll, pitch, and the yaw, it may make sense to me how this is calculated. So you go in and reset some of these orientations. So the orientation reset here. So there's a heading reset, inclination reset, alignment reset. What that means is I'm resetting one of the axes, two of the axes, or three of the axes. So I'm going to do a full, complete alignment reset. And what that's going to do is set everything to 0, 0, 0. It's going to set the roll to 0, the pitch to 0, and the yaw to 0. Just 1 second. I hear some background noise. So if you have your If your mic is not on mute, I'm going to go ahead and mute it right now. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone again. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and reset all of the axes. So I'm going to ask that Giovanni here sit as straight as possible so his head is in a quote-unquote neutral alignment, and go ahead and do an alignment reset. So now everything is 0, 0, 0. So when I press that alignment reset, it's going to reset everything to 0, 0, 0. So that can be my quote-unquote origin point so I can start my data collection. So now, as Giovanni moves his head, he does an axial rotation or flexion extension of his neck. You can see that change in each of the axes, and you can go ahead and record that data. Now you can do this with any of your body segments. You know, if you want to do this with your wrist, or you want to do it with the upper and lower leg, right? You can do that with any of the body segments you wish to measure. All you have to do is go ahead and reset that alignment. That resets it to 0, 0, 0, so that any deviation from that initial orientation, you can go ahead and see that visualized. Now, we don't just provide a visual representation. We also have orientation data as well. So as Giovanni's moving his head, right, I can see that roll, pitch, and yaw visualized in a graph format. Right? And all this is actually, you can export all this data to Excel or to a TXT CSV file. All of that is provided for you. So not only do I get all of the orientation data, but I can also get the accelerometer data as well, angular velocity, and also the magnetic field data. Okay. But in addition to that, I can also get barometer data as well. So if I go ahead and display all this.
You can see when I stand.
So as Giovanni is moving around with the barometer data, you can see when he's standing and when he's sitting. Okay? So if I go ahead and bring up the video camera again, you know, as he's moving around, you know, I can see all that data. Okay, so this is just one of the examples of one of the software packages that we provide. Now, if I go back and let me go back to our presentation here. We also provide Xsens Device API. Now, we work with MATLAB. We also work with C++ and C#. So we provide all the source files, in which we provide example code as well. So these are examples that we've developed that uses the Xsens Device API, which you can go ahead and tweak and use. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is, instead of looking at the MTw Software Suite, what I'm going to go ahead is take a look at some of our MATLAB code, and then take a look at some of our C++ code as well, and show you how that works. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of this for now, and go ahead and open up MATLAB. So what we have here, and that's ready for you guys to use, is a example code which gives you the MTw inertial data in real time. So this allows me to see all that data and allows me to graph that. So, you know, you guys can go ahead and modify this code as you see fit, or just use it as a building block to see how certain functions are used and things like that. So we provide all this code for you, and you can definitely go in and take a look and see how that's built, and definitely modify it for your own uses. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually run some of this example code so you can see how it's built out, and we'll take a look at how we can utilize that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And this is a simple MATLAB code. And so you can see on the bottom here, it says, you know, some of the prompts here: found station on COM port 5 with the ID and the baud rate. And so it prompts you with, these are the supported update rates, 120, 100, 80, 60, 40, which update rate you want to use. Since we're only using one sensor, I'll just go ahead and use 120 hertz. And then it'll ask me which radio channels I want to select. And I'll just go ahead and select one of these radio channels here. And then it says undock the MTWs and make sure that they're synced. Okay. So the way I know that an MTW is synced is if they are flashing at the same rate as the station. So I'll go ahead and show you this on this screen here. Okay. So we have the sensor and we have the station. So there's actually a communication link here that would show that it's flashing at the same rate. So right now it's not flashing, so I might have to reinitialize the software. Well, let's see what happens here. It said my device was rejected. So we'll go ahead and run that again. Okay. So now you can see it's synced. So you can see that the station LED is blinking at the same rate as the sensor. So that's how you know that they're connected and synced together. So if you have multiple sensors, then you want to make sure that all the sensors are blinking at the same rate. That means they're synced. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and make sure that the device is accepted. So now it's accepted. I think before it was rejected due to the fact that we power cycled it, and you guys can see that, but we did power cycle the devices just to make sure they were connected. And it's going to ask me if I want to keep this current status. I'll just go ahead and say yes. And now it's activating the measurement mode. So now you can see, just as before with MT Manager, you can get the same exact data, whether or not you're using MATLAB or MT Manager. Okay, so we just have this plotted in a more visually appealing manner here. Okay. All right. Go ahead and close out of that. So we have a variety of different MATLAB codes, MATLAB examples that you can go ahead and dive into and take a look at how they're developed, and go ahead and really build your own application from that. So what I want to show you now is our C++ code, and show you some of the example code and how that works. Okay. So very similar to the same way that MATLAB is built out. You know, we have source code here that has an example built out, and you can go ahead and take a look at that. What I'm going to go ahead and do is run this code, but basically you can take a look at some of the source files, and you can take a look at how we built this out, and basically from this, use this as your building block to build your own code. So I'm going to go ahead and run our MTw C++ example here. And so what we built out for you is a very simple, basic command line application here. And so what we're doing was waiting for the MTW to wirelessly connect. Now we see that the same ID has been connected. And so if we actually take a look at it, we can go ahead and see that this is connected here and that they're blinking at the same rate. Okay. So now it says press Y to start measurement, and we'll go ahead and do that. And so now you get the same thing here, you get the same amount of data, right? But now in our C++ example, we don't necessarily have it plotted, and we just have it printing out to the command line. If you want to do something similar in C++ as in MATLAB, you can definitely go ahead and do that as well. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and close this. So that. So now I'll just go back to my presentation here. A little bit more about our hardware. We do integrate with a variety of different third-party devices. So if you're doing a study and you want to synchronize with an EMG system or pressure mat or other optical system, we do provide that option of allowing synchronized recording with the BNC ports that are on the back of our receiving station. And so once again, I'll just go ahead and show you guys that once again. Those are our BNC ports there on the back of our receiving station there. So you can both sync in and you can both sync out from different third-party devices. So with the API, we also provide full HTML documentation as well as application notes as well. So if you're going through and you want to find a particular function, you can go ahead and take a look at our documentation. And for the most part, that accounts for most of the questions that you may have. Now, if that doesn't cover it, we also have BASE. And BASE is our user forum. So you can go in there and ask questions and get answers from engineers or other users of Xsens. So we found that BASE is really helpful if you wanted to go ahead and search for a question. Maybe someone has already asked it before. It would likely be on BASE. And so a couple of customer applications in terms of using the Xsens development kit. There are a couple of papers that are listed on here. Measurement of lumbar spine, range of movement, and coupled motion using inertial sensors, protocol validity study. The use of wireless instrumentation for stability testing, and incorporation of a foot-mounted IMU for multi-sensor pedestrian navigation. So these are just a couple of the papers that have been published using the MTw Awinda platform, but you can see a variety of other papers on our website as well. We also have the Motion Monitor and Fremorel, and they are companies that have actually taken our MTw system to the next step and actually use it for motion analysis. A couple of other customer applications that we have on here involve a variety of different things. So you can see on here, I'll just go over a couple of these, is the one in the upper right-hand corner is the Rosing Research and Development Laboratory, which has actually taken our MTw Awinda development kit and actually used it to analyze an entire marathon. So that's of particular interest. We also do back analysis. So this company, Valledo, has actually taken our IMUs and actually used it to improve the backs of their patients actually through a video game.
Yeah, it was Oklahoma produced this product called Valledo.
Yep. And so all of these customer applications are available to view on our website, as well as very detailed write-ups are also available on our website, so you can go ahead and go read through those as well. Okay, so now I'll leave about 2 to 3 minutes for any questions that you guys may have. I'll go ahead and look at the questions that have originated in the chat window there. Okay, so there's a question here. Does the MATLAB code save the coordinate data when you have that live feed for a single MTw?
Yes, you can. You can save and generate a file. You save locally on the computer. You will include all the different kinds of value of the parameters you want.
Okay. There's another question from Jose here. Is there an SDK for Python? So unfortunately not right now. We just do MATLAB, C++, and C#. Okay, we have another question here. Where can we find the MATLAB script for real-time data analysis?
Once you install the SDK suite, it will also be included in the setup file. It will be your program file, you can see. There is a folder for SDK, and it is including all different kinds of scripts for MATLAB, for C++, for C#. Concerning we have a question concerning the maximum frame rate. In case you use 220U, the man will be 60 Hz. So just to explain, internally the sensors are sampling at 1000 Hz. We apply low pass digital filter 600 Hz, and then we perform SDI, a strip down integration, and we send all the results with an update rate that is variable according to the number of cells. So you don't lose in accuracy, you lose in resolution, because all the data are sent from multiple tasks. So for 20 samples, the update rate will be 60 Hz.
Okay, we have another question here from Felipe here. Am I able to monitor a human running process?
Yes. What we show the project that was done by Lucy for the marathon that is on the run performance.
And we have another question here from Jose. Is there any library to measure the joint angles?
No, like we don't provide scripts that measure the joint angles. What you get in the sensor orientation. What you find in literature and what our customers are doing, they perform a sensor to segment the calibration. It means like they go to match the orientation of this sensor, the output of the sensor, with a non-position of the body segment, like what Aristo showed you before. He asked me to say that and to have a static position of my head. So I assume like a neutral position, and then you perform the reset of the axis, and you go to match the actual neutral position of the head with the 0, 0, 0 for the segment. It's called sensor to segment calibration. You can find many papers on our website that will mention and show how it can be done. It's also done in our environment system, so you can refer to the white paper.
Is the software in question here comes for free with the equipment? So yes, the software that I just demonstrated and the API is all provided to you for free. All comes with the purchase of the Xsens hardware.
It can be used only with the sensor, no problem.
Another question here, is there a MATLAB code with a live feed for the whole body Xsens model, multiple sensors?
Okay, like with the MATLAB code, you can build your own, you can work up to 20 trackers, so you can work fully with a full body solution. It's not including any biomechanical, it's not implementing any biomechanical model like the environment. On this purpose, you should use the environment if you want an out-of-box the tool that is not requiring any programming on this side. With the MTw Awinda, it will require you to build the.
So another question here, does the unit output in another format for orientation?
Yes, we output Euler, like I used to show you. We do also equatorial and orientation. So all the different kind of formats. like faster your application, your program.
And we have another question here. Can MT Manager software synchronize multiple sensors at the same time?
Yes, sure. Like both the MT Manager software and the SDK example, they are able to synchronize up to two trackers at the same time.
Does Xsens work with companies to develop new testing protocols and services using Xsens sensors?
Yeah, sure. We have some of our users that they are companies that they develop their own the product and software based on our hardware SDK. Oh, okay, just a second. This is another question. How much does it cost? Like the full package with the 6 trackers cost 6 trackers, the straps, the t-shirt for the upper body cost 4,700. But we have a light version with just one tracker, the dongle receiver, and the software that starts from $800.
Okay, we have another question here. Can MT Manager be used with other sensors, not MTW? So you can use any of our Xsens sensors with MT Manager. So if you're using any of the MTI series, then you can definitely go ahead and use MT Manager with those sensors. But it does have to be an Xsens sensor. Another question here is, I see you are using Z up. Can you choose a different axis up?
That depends on which kind of object reset you are performing. This will perform reset to the 3 axis. But then, like if you place a sensor on a line surface, you can just reset the heading, and then you like those operators will be perpendicular to the incline of the surface. That's why it's like correctly.
We have another question here. Can you use MT Manager on previously recorded sensor data like the MTw Awinda system?
I don't understand this question. Like,
So
the MT Manager is like software that you can, is only able to open the data that have been recorded with the SDK or with the MT Manager, no other software.
Right. So if you have data,
interested in the raw data, and the MTw Awinda is also providing raw data in real time and in the data. And the information is included under the web segment. Like if you look at the ad, you will see that under the ad segment is including all the raw data of the sensors was placed on the ad for the environment.
Great. We have one more question here. Where can we find the MATLAB script for real-time data analysis? Was it possible to hear the answer the first time?
Okay. So once you install the MT SDK suite on your machine, you can access to all the scripts. The scripts will be located in program file, except on the folder of the installation, where you have all the on Windows, where you have like all the where the Xsens suite will be installed.
Okay, we're the last 2 questions here. Okay, so the first one here is, can we use MTW for hours of collecting data, or have to charge them after a certain time? So you can use it to collect up to 8 hours of data, so that's the entire battery life, and then you have to charge it after the battery is depleted. And then the last question that we have here.
Just sorry to interrupt you. It's like 8 hours up to 9, depending on which sense you are using. And it's important to tell that all the MEMS units are always active. The jars, micrometers, the thermometer are always active. They are not going on standby. Then we'll ensure that every day we will be able to ensure intraday of your data.
Okay, the last question that we have for today is what's the difference of the reset orientation options? Okay, so there are a few different reset orientation options. What you can do is you can reset one of the axes, two of the axes, or all three of the axes. So what we did in our example was we reset all three of the axes so that roll, pitch, and yaw were all 0, 0, 0. Okay? And then we took the difference from the 0, 0 origin points to calculate if there was axial rotation or if there was flexion extension and things like that. Okay?
Because by default, the yaw will refer to the north pole. Okay.
If you have any other further questions, you have
another one. Just pop up right now. Can we read the quaternion rotation MATLAB in real time? Yes, it's not included in the example that we provide, but you can just recall the function that is included in our SDK, where in the function in real time will give you the quaternion rotation for every tracker in real time. So we'll have 4 different numbers for every frame, for every sensor. Just a second, another question for Bob. Is the same question? No, at the moment there is no a memory card for offline recording. Like inside a sensor, we have a buffer memory that allows you to store a data if you are out of range, and but it's less than a minute. It's more like to ensure that you don't lose any data if you are out of range. You will get the warning and everything else if you are out of range version. But we don't have an offline recording or like a data log for this device. Another question? Thank you all for attending the webinar. If you have any question, like we will send you an email with all the answers to the questions that you asked in the webinar. And feel free to contact me or Risto for any questions that you will have.
Hope you enjoyed seeing us today.
Yeah, thanks for your time and a lot of large audience. So. Okay, have a great day. Bye bye. Thank you very much. Just to close the block now.